Hello, 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 my beautiful people out there in the YouTube universe. You guys, today I wanted to do a video, something special, something very dear to my heart. I absolutely love movies. So I thought, why not do movie reviews with you guys? So if you love movies and you want to review them with me, just stay tuned for the video. And before I start, I wanted to give a shout out to Leslie's Fashion Boutique. She's on Instagram, Poshmark, Depop. Check her out on Instagram, Leslie Fashion Boutique. It says coffee plus thrifting plus listing equals sales. And that is the story of my life right now. So I'm loving this shirt. If you're watching this, thank you so much, Leslie. I love it. Now I'm going to get on to the movie. The movie is called Blind Faith, you guys. This movie was directed by Ernest Dickerson, and it was written by Frank Military. This movie was set in 1957. I remember that. Okay, now I'm going to give you a little background on the movie. The movie is basically about these brothers, these three brothers. They lost their parents at an early age, so the older brother kind of took care of the little brothers. Well, now they're all grown. One of the brothers is a police officer, one of the brothers is a lawyer, and the other brother is a musician, but he's been on drugs. He's had a lot of problems. He's the baby brother, so he's had a lot of problems. So the police officer don't fool with him at all. He's very strict. Once he found out his brother brought some marijuana into his house, he have not talked to his brother since. So now the police officer have a son. In the movie, this son is accused of killing this white boy. Okay, they were in the park. It was 4 or 5 white boys. I think it was 5 white boys in the park. One of them ended up dead, and it was supposedly only one black boy. Well, from the very beginning of the movie, the black boy was telling the cops, I did this, lock me up, I did this. And his uncle knew, the uncle that's a lawyer, he knew that his nephew could not have possibly done this. He watched this boy grow up from a baby till he was like 18, 19 then. So he knew in his heart that his nephew didn't do this, and he didn't understand why he kept saying he did this. The dad was basically saying, my son didn't do this, but he was a police officer, and he wasn't just a regular police officer. No, no, no. He was one of those black police officers that didn't want to be a black police officer. He wanted to be a white. I mean, it didn't matter about him being white. He wanted white people to treat him like they treated white people. I'm going to put it like that. And he felt like wearing a badge was the closest thing he was going to get to being treated like he was white, like he was something. Because then blacks were treated like they were nothing. So he wanted to be treated like something. And he felt like they viewed him like this just because they called him by his name. And whenever they had a problem with a black person, they would come get him. So he stopped fooling with a lot of his family members. He didn't tolerate any dysfunction from anyone. He never ever in his son's entire life from birth up until about 18, because it doesn't give his age in the movie. So up about 18, he doesn't have one conversation with his son, not one. He tells his son what to do. His son says, yes, sir, and that's the end of the conversation. So the boy was accused of killing this guy. So, of course, the uncle is going to be his lawyer. The father didn't want that. He wanted to go outside because he felt like his brother wasn't good enough to represent his son, but he let him do it. So, the boy, the movie was just so sad because they found out that he was not... Okay, first of all, let me say this. They had two different stories. They had one eyewitness. It was this old white black lady. She said she saw the white boys chasing the guy, but he had on a red shirt. Make sure I'm getting this correct because I wrote all this down. Yeah, she insisted that the boy had on a red shirt, and that's what she called the cops and told them, I just seen this group of white guys chasing this black boy with a red shirt. And she said she's from the old school, so she knew when they was chasing him, she knew what they were going to do. That's why she called the police. But the defendant in this case that night was not wearing a red shirt. He was wearing a light blue shirt. They had no other witnesses, so the defendant's uncle went to the lady and asked the lady to lie, to say that he had on a blue shirt and not a red shirt, but she insisted that the shirt was red. But when she got on the stand, she looked at all of the white people in the crowd, in the audience, and then she looked at the black boy as the defendant, and she lied. She said the shirt was blue, even though she know it was red. So after she testified, the uncle just got to thinking, like, where this red shirt keep coming from? And he started re-interviewing people. And then he found out that a black guy was killed in the park that night, and that black guy was wearing a red shirt. Now, I'm going to explain to you who that black guy in the red shirt was. Now, remember I said the defendant had on a light blue shirt, right? Okay, him and the boy with the red shirt were in the park together. This was 1957, and they were gay lovers. I don't know if you know how things were handled back then, but back then, if you were caught kissing someone of the same sex, you could be killed on the spot, and you would not face a day in jail. You would be justified because that was inhumane. So the white guy saw them kissing or doing whatever they was doing, because he didn't say, he just said they was on the park bench and it was the first time they had been alone, so they started doing things to each other. He didn't say what they was, so I assumed it was kissing. The 5 white guys came up and caught them. They took off running. They took off running, and they caught the one with the blue shirt and held him. Then they finally caught the one with the red shirt and they beat him to death. After they beat him to death, the one in the blue shirt flipped out, and he killed one of the boys. They all ran, and he caught one of the boys, and the white boys, and he killed them. He, with his bare hands, he killed them. So he did, in fact, he was guilty of killing that boy, but he had circumstance. He was actually protecting himself. But in order for him to be able to tell the judge that he was with his gay lover and all of that, he would have to tell his father. And that's something he refused to do. So the uncle went to the father and told the father. And the father refused to accept that. He said he didn't raise one of those. He didn't raise a sissy. He didn't, he was totally against it. And he literally said he would prefer that his son go to jail. Well, this is what the uncle was trying to do. The uncle wasn't trying to get him off. He was trying to get him life in prison instead of get him an execution, because they was trying to kill him. And the father came back and said he would rather that his son die than to admit that his son was gay. And he told his son this, he would rather him die than for him to admit that he was gay. So you want to know what the son did? The son wrote a beautiful letter to his mom and his uncles, explaining the whole situation, telling how he never felt love until he met that boy, and how that boy made him feel, and how he feel watching those white guys kill that boy. And after he wrote the letter, he hung himself in jail. He didn't want to give the court system the satisfaction of killing him, because they had already found him guilty. They did find him guilty. And the crazy thing about this, the exact day that they found him guilty, the uncle went to the dad and said, you can go talk to the governor. These white people love you. If you tell them not to kill your son, they'll listen to you and they'll give him life. The father said no, because then I have to admit that he's one of those, and I refuse to do that. So he did not do that. So the son hung himself. And the day that the uncle got the letter from the jail, because they called him and told him he hung himself, and he got the letter, the dad called the uncle and said, I'm ready to go to the governor and talk to him. I love my son. I don't want him to die. The uncle didn't say anything. He just hung up the phone. It was too late His son had already killed himself. He didn't tell him or anything. He just hung up the phone. The reason I chose this movie as my first movie review on this channel is because all while my kids were little, I instilled in their brains that dating someone of the same sex was not only morally wrong, it was humanely wrong, and I told them they would no longer be welcomed in my house and they could not bring that person in my house. Now, after watching that movie, immediately after watching that movie, I had to call my kids in and apologize for doing that to them. I told them, I don't care who it is, what race, what sex, what nationality, whatever. I don't care who it is that you love. As long as they love you back, they better love you as much as I love you. And if they can do that, then they're okay with me. They're always welcome in my presence. So I said that to say this. We got to stop telling our kids things without thinking. Because just because we believe in something and we feel so strongly about something does not mean that our children feel in this way. And this is 2019. Too many kids have committed suicide because they don't want to face their parents, or they don't want to deal with bullies, or telling your child that being gay is wrong and all that, that is a form of bullying. If they feel deep down in their hearts that they're gay, then we don't have any choice but to accept that. But for this man to let his son go through all of that just so he wouldn't have to face the white man to tell the white man that his son was gay, I found that just. And check this out. It was a true story. It was 100% true. So I urge you all to, I know what the Bible says. I've read the Amplified Bible, which I call the Holy Bible or the Old Testament. I read the remix, the King James. I've read the Quran. I try to dabble into everything because I don't want someone telling me what to think and what to believe. I want to research it for myself, and then I figure out myself what I believe. Now, I do believe there's a higher power because I am here and I am amazing. So I couldn't have done that by myself. But what I want to say is I know what the Bible says. But we got to love on our kids regardless, in spite of. Just like it says you're supposed to love God and you're supposed to love your neighbors in spite of, we're going to have to love our kids. And if that's the path that they choose for their lives, we don't have any choice but to accept it. You guys, if you like this movie review, please comment down below. It was my first one. I'm going to keep doing them because I love movies. But the next one probably won't be this deep. It'll probably be fun. I really want to do the first Purge. So if you want to see me do a movie review on the first Purge, let's do it. And I want to do it live so I can make it longer than 15 minutes. We can converse with each other. You guys, that was just a movie review from me and my big hair and my new shades and new t-shirt. You guys have a wonderful day. Stay blessed. Don't let nobody, I mean nobody, steal your joy. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.